Hey guys, hope you're having an amazing day. Welcome to another video. And today I bought an entirely new surveillance system to watch over my notorious Corolla. This will be an unboxing and basic setup of my very first Reolink ecosystem. So let's get into it, shall we? I decided it was time to upgrade to a more robust surveillance system to replace my existing one, which is a mashup of Ring, Wyze, and other branded cameras. It's a total mess. Now, I've had my fair share of footage over the years. This whole system needed an overhaul. Also, my Ring video doorbell camera finally broke. As you can see, the infrared cut filter is stuck open. So during the day, everything's a strange pink. And finally, I do admit I've gotten quite tired of paying subscription fees, chatting endlessly with bots. Useless. Reolink is one of those popular brands that's been around for ages. It can be considered a prosumer brand, also for their commercial use. My brother actually showed me how easy his Reolink setup was. And after watching some other great YouTube reviews, I decided to buy into their ecosystem. Funny enough, they were having their 16th anniversary sale, with most of their products heavily discounted. So I made a very quick impulse buy. I ordered Reolink's Wi-Fi Video Doorbell, their 16 megapixel Duo V3 PoE security camera, the 4K Trackmix dual lens PoE camera, and finally their 36 channel NVR, which records and stores all footage 24/7. Obviously, Reolink needs a little talk with their shipping company. I'm sure as heck didn't order an inverter welder. So guys, this is what you'll receive when you order from Reolink's official website. I think it may be better treated if you ordered from Amazon instead. Anyway, let's get to the unboxing. No bubble wrap, nothing to protect it. So this will be some sort of unboxing and quick setup video. I decided not to do a detailed review since there are a ton of other videos out there better showcasing each product. And I honestly don't know enough here yet to make a thorough review for you guys. However, I do want to demonstrate how easy it is to get set up and explain to you guys what my goals are and why I bought these particular models over the others. As previously mentioned, my Ring doorbell broke, so I'm replacing it with Reolink's Video Doorbell. Now they have many versions of this doorbell that looks almost the same, such as the battery-powered one and the PoE only version. They also come in two colors, the black and white ones. Now most importantly, you have to pay attention to which color because they are not only for looks, they actually function differently from each other. The black one captures video wider horizontally, while the white one captures the video taller or vertically. They call it head-to-toe recording. And this is great for my situation because my real goal was to capture packages left near my doorstep, which my Ring camera never did cover properly, so I opted for the white version. Now the choice between the Wi-Fi and PoE version was a hard one. I would have wholeheartedly chose PoE, which is power over Ethernet. Everything would just run on one network cable and be 100% stable. Now the only problem was that I didn't want to make a mess with drilling and running new Ethernet cable into my door frame, which I consider pretty difficult to hide without fishing cables and patching walls. As with my Ring doorbell, this Reolink one can also use your home's existing doorbell wire to siphon power. So I didn't want to let this easy hookup go to waste. Surprisingly enough, this Wi-Fi doorbell also does have an Ethernet port on the back to connect to an NVR if ever I get time to do some wiring in the future. Overall, I do feel I get more flexibility and value with the Wi-Fi version. Now, just because it has an Ethernet port doesn't mean it's PoE. This is still the Wi-Fi version, which supports both 2.4 and 5 GHz bands. Since we're not hooking up Ethernet yet, we'll need to have a microsd card to store recordings for playback. Now, the type of microsd card is very important. Endurance cards are best suitable here, as they are designed for thousands of hours of writing. Normal SD cards will definitely fail over a short time, believe me. Now, there's a QR code in the back, which makes setup a breeze. I'll show you later. We have two screws here that are points to hook up power to, one of which can be a direct hookup to your existing doorbell wires, as long as they provide 12 to 24 volts AC power. Now, the other way is to use Reolink's power adapter, which is also included in the box, which I'll get to later. Now, the version I bought did include a wireless chime, which can be plugged into any outlet. This will automatically be paired with your Reolink doorbell, as you may lose functionality of your home's existing doorbell chime. Also included are mounting screws and accessories. 1 meter patch cable, which is pretty short to do anything permanent with. So surprisingly, Reolink includes an extension cable long enough to snake to an outlet where we can connect their power adapter to. This is great if you can't use your existing doorbell wires. Now, this is the shorter version of that extension cable. I'll be using this for testing. This is the mounting plate and corner wedge. The corner wedge is made out of plastic, and its job is to maximize your view horizontally. The best position you'll want is for your doorbell to be angled center facing your subjects. This wedge allows you to do so. The mounting plate is made out of metal and attaches to the surface, allowing the video doorbell to be easily attached or removed. Now, as mentioned previously, this is Reolink's power adapter if you can't use your existing doorbell's transformer wires. Reolink allows you to power your doorbell with a normal outlet, which I think is an absolute bonus. Not many people are tech savvy to install such devices, so it's quite accommodating. Finally, we have a pair of jumper cables to rewire power inside your existing doorbell chime to the Reolink doorbell. And here's an extension cable to connect those existing wire leads to. Now, inside this blue Reolink pouch, we'll find an easy-to-drill sticker template to give us the exact holes needed to mount the doorbell. Also some documentation, including a quick instruction manual with diagrams, which I found quite easy to follow. Now, this is the unboxing of the Reolink Duo V3. It's a PoE dual lens security camera. Right away, the Reolink logo on the box is different than the one on the video doorbell, which would mean this one is not the rebranded version. Now, I don't know the specifics of their marketing, but I did notice on their website that customers would randomly get the old or new logo. I absolutely don't like this practice, as to me, a customer, I feel I got shortchanged with older stock. Although they do mention that there's no difference in hardware or software. The difference in logo just makes things look inconsistent, so I hope Reolink can brand their products with only one logo. My goal with this camera was to cover as much of the street as possible, as this is a dual lens camera capable of capturing a full 180 degrees in one unit. This replaces two of my existing cameras, which didn't offer the best quality I expected. So why did I choose the V3 over the older V2? Quite simply, I wanted the higher resolution. The V3 offers a total of 16 megabits of quality that fits my budget. So then, why did I choose the power over Ethernet over Wi-Fi? Well, I really wanted to go with a wired system of having total stability than dealing with the possible signal issues plaguing most Wi-Fi solutions. Also, my existing cameras are already connected by PoE, so this can be a total drop-in replacement. Again, this blue pouch contains a quick, easy-to-read start guide. There's a drilling template that can be stuck onto surfaces for precise mounting. A Reolink surveillance sticker, which is a nice touch to deter people away. Again, we have a short patch cable, a cover to protect the Ethernet PoE connection, a bag of mounting screws and accessories, and here's the main unit of the Reolink Duo V3. It actually feels quite solid with a good weight to it. The item number reads P750, which is hardly advertised anywhere else. And it's powered by 12 volts DC. There's a protective blue film to remove from the lens. Here's a QR code that's covered, obviously, to scan in that will easily link our camera to our system. There's also the ability to insert a microsd card for storage. I should also mention this side would be the bottom, as we don't want this port or speaker vents to be exposed to water. Here's the PoE Ethernet port. The beauty of this is that we'll only be using one network cable here to power and transfer data. Here's an extra port for 12 volts DC if you wanted to power it by other means, such as a splitter or a normal power adapter. There are great options here. Finally, we have the mounting bracket with a metal mounting plate to latch onto. The bracket is screwed in at either the top or bottom of the Duo unit. Here's the unboxing of the Reolink Trackmix PoE security camera. It's quite an ominous feeling, being the only one wrapped in black plastic. The box is pretty big and a bit heavy too. My goal with the Trackmix is actually a backup to the Duo V3, and I want it to act like a deterrent as it can move in all directions, and, as the name suggests, track subjects as they approach. Now it can detect all sorts of people and objects with its built-in AI, as well as act as a motion spotlight, keeping a keen eye on things. The Trackmix is also a dual-lens security camera with a 6x optical zoom to identify people with clarity. In the blue pouch, we have more pamphlets, a quick start guide, a mounting hole template for both wall and ceiling, and another Reolink surveillance sticker. Again, we have a bag of mounting screws and accessories, waterproof cover or lid for a PoE connection, and a short 1 meter patch cable. Finally, here's the Reolink Trackmix unit. Again, it has the PoE and power port connectors. I was actually quite surprised how solid and heavy this is. The outer shell seems to be made out of metal, which is great. However, the top of the unit is plastic, which I think it would have been better if they kept it metal throughout. As you can see, the dual lens, LED lights, and infrared for night vision mode. On the bottom, we also have the ability to insert a microsd card. Again, I always recommend endurance cards if you're going this route. We have our speaker vents on the back. And on the top is our QR code for setup. This item number reads P760. Finally, this is the unboxing of the Reolink Network Video Recorder, or NVR for short. It's the 36 channel model. Now, you can pretty much get away with not having one, but my goal was to have a central monitoring hub to store all the footage onto hard drives rather than individual microsd cards. So why did I choose this model over the 8 or 16 channel models? First off, I believe this 36 channel model is more for advanced users. It allows more flexibility in terms of storage and scalability in terms of number of cameras I can connect to. It works out for my case since I have a bunch of old hard drives I can use. And I already have an external PoE switch I can connect to. This model doesn't have PoE ports built in like the others do. It also doesn't include hard drives, so I save quite a bit of money here. Reolink's 8 or 16 channel NVRs, and even their home hub devices, are mainly for those who want a turnkey solution with everything included. The NVR includes a USB optical mouse, since I think the only way to physically interface with it would be with a cursor and an on-screen keyboard, which is typical for a surveillance system. HDMI cable to connect a TV or monitor to. A short power cable with a North American grounded plug. the so-called power brick, which outputs 12 volts. It's also Reolink branded, which is rare. Usually I expect a generic one. This will help identify it in a sea of adapters, which is a nice touch. We have some alarm plugs, which we won't need to use, unless we want to hook up something external, like a siren. Here we have 3 bags of hard drive screws for mounting. And of course, we have a quick start guide for the NVR. Finally, the same short 1 meter patch cable. This NVR is actually quite slim with a metal casing. It reminds me of a micro PC. No doubt this metal casing slides off like a typical PC door. The front bezel, on the other hand, is plastic with a USB port. Next to it, I think it's an infrared sensor for a remote, LED status lights, and some quick navigational buttons on the right. On the side are air vents. Seems like there's one for fan, but it's not included. On the back is where all our connections are made. There's the main HDMI port, which should carry video and audio. I wish they could just get rid of the legacy VGA port, as it takes up space and maybe extra circuitry. HDMI is cheap and everywhere. What also stands out here is the inclusion of a USB 3 port, which is awesome to transfer video out quickly. And like I mentioned earlier, the Ethernet ports here are not PoE, so we'll have to connect an external PoE switch to the system. To access the inside, there are 3 Phillip head screws that need to be removed. Afterwards, a slight push to the casing will release it. As you can see, the motherboard is pretty small in comparison to the whole case, as the extra space is reserved for 3 hard drives. Here are the SATA and power cables for each hard drive. There's also holes for 2 small fans on each side, if you wanted better airflow. A very popular brand I recommend would be a pair of Noctua fans, which are ultra silent. To set up the Reolink Wi-Fi doorbell, we'll need to configure it before mounting it to the actual door. Again, I won't be covering the actual physical installation, as Reolink already has clear videos on how to do it. I recommend watching those afterwards. This video will show you exactly how to connect everything up before that stage. Like I mentioned earlier, you'll need an endurance type SD card that's specifically designed for hours of video recording. Here I'm using a Samsung Pro endurance card I picked up. Of course, the more storage you have, the more you can play back before it overwrites older footage. To connect power, we'll temporarily use the power adapter that Reolink included. Loosen both screws a bit so that we can slide these short leads under them. Then tighten them back up. Then we can connect the power adapter.
Welcome to Reolink. Please install Reolink app and scan the QR code on the camera.
We'll need to download the Reolink app by scanning their QR code. Or search for it in Google Play or the App Store. The instructions are relatively easy. Scan the QR code on the back of the doorbell. Now select your Wi-Fi hotspot. Reolink also supports the 5 GHz band, which is great. Now we need to use the doorbell camera to scan the QR code on your phone's screen by holding it in front.
Connection to the router succeeded. Welcome to Reolink.
The final setup is to plug the chime into an outlet. It should automatically pair up with the doorbell. Now, when you're ready, the rest of the instructions are for installing into your existing doorbell transformer. Be sure you give it a read to properly power your device. Feel free to pause the video at any time to read the instructions. It always helps to prepare yourself for any installation so there's no surprises. And there it is, a live video feed in our app. Anytime and anywhere we want, we can check and answer the front door at literally a touch of a button. We can now scrub through our recordings for instant playback, since it records 24/7 onto our microsd card. We'll now enable push notifications on our phone so that we can instantly find out if there's anybody outside our door. Tap the little gear icon to go into the settings menu for the doorbell. Tap push notifications. Now toggle the push notification switch to enable. And there we have it, basic notifications. And of course, everything is adjustable. Hello?
Hello?
Testing the Reolink Doorbell.
Testing the Reolink Doorbell.
And finally, let's not forget to update the doorbell to the latest firmware. Go back to Settings, tap the doorbell image to get into Device Info. Now tap Update Device, and make sure Auto Update is enabled. Now, since our security cameras are powered only by Ethernet cable, or PoE, we'll need an external PoE switch. I happened to buy one from Netgear. This one only allows up to 4 devices. Generally, the more ports it has, the more expensive it gets. So if I ever get more than 4 PoE security cameras in the future, I'll either have to buy another switch like this one, or replace it with one that has more ports. I find setting up PoE devices super easy and fast since it's directly wired to the network. We won't have to deal with Wi-Fi issues here. Now I'm going to show you how to add the Reolink Duo V3 and the Trackmix to the Reolink app without the NVR for now. This should be the average setup for beginners. First, let's connect our PoE switch to the internet, assuming this is a basic home network setup. I'll be connecting a simple Ethernet cable from my router to the non-PoE port of the switch. Remember, you'll need to insert a microsd card into each device if you want it to record without an NVR. All we simply need to do is connect an Ethernet cable from the Duo V3 to one of the 4 PoE enabled ports on the switch. And there you have it, the Duo V3 is powered on and ready to go. Easy. On the Reolink app, tap the plus icon on the top right to add a new device. Just like the video doorbell setup, we'll need to scan the QR code on the Duo V3 this time. Then add a login password for the device. And there you have it. I admit, I find it pretty cool seeing everything coming together like this. Refer to Reolink's tutorials on how to further customize your settings. So basically the setup for the Trackmix and other Reolink PoE devices are just as similar. As you can see, it's really easy to get things going. What I also really like about Reolink security cameras is that you can create separate user accounts with different permissions for each device if you wanted to share the feed with anyone, such as friends and family members, but you don't want them to have access to some features, such as pan, tilt, zoom controls, or hear audio, for example. As you can see, the Trackmix was easily added. Both video feeds from the wide shot and telephoto lens are shown. By hitting the PTZ button, we can control the Trackmix remotely. How cool is that? Now that I've shown you the basics on how to connect everything without an NVR, let's set up the 36-channel NVR that I did buy and add it to our Reolink ecosystem. This NVR will act as a central hub for all our recordings, and it'll be accessible through a monitor and remotely from our Reolink app. We'll first need to add our own hard drive, and since I only have one, I'm going to remove these other hard drive cables to clean things up a bit and improve heat dissipation. Now I don't think Reolink thought this through, but the last SATA cable can't be unlatched unless the fan is removed, so I do hope they can improve on the design. I'll be leaving in one SATA and one power cable. Now I only have a 1TB hard drive available, which may fill up fast since most of my cameras record 4K. Later on, I'll probably switch it out with something bigger. The hard drives will align with these holes on the bottom, which will fasten from the other side with the included hard drive screws. This NVR is pretty much no frills, since Reolink didn't address sound or vibration dampening here. Since I had the extra space, I decided to place the hard drive away from the CPU area to avoid heating issues. Here I ran into another issue with a plug behind the front bezel slightly in the way. I had to bend it a bit, putting some tension on the wires there. Again, I hope Reolink can address this. Now another issue is that the last SATA cable was just barely long enough to reach the hard drive. It's probably not a good idea to have the headers under stress like this. I recommend getting a longer SATA cable, maybe from a spare PC instead. There are a few ways we can connect the NVR to the network. We could run another Ethernet cable from the router to the NVR, as long as the PoE switch is discoverable on the same network or subnet. Or we can take the one Ethernet cable and insert it into the LAN port of the NVR. Then take another patch cable and connect the PoE switch to one of the 4 ports on the NVR. This way makes more sense to me and more of a cleaner setup. Let's connect our mouse using the black USB 2 port. Then connect the HDMI cable. Plug in our power adapter. Then finally switch it on. Once booted up, we'll need to go through some initial settings. We can switch the screen resolution to match the monitor, which is full HD. It can go all the way up to 4K if your monitor supports it. Let's set the date and time. Here the NVR will assign a unique identifier, or UID, that will allow us to add it to the Reolink app. Toggling the above switch will allow us remote access to the device. Now it's time to set a password for the NVR to increase security. We'll also need to completely format the hard drive. This process should just take a few seconds. So this is the main surveillance screen. We'll be able to see all the cameras or live channels. As you can see, it already detected both my PoE Reolink cameras, but we'll need to allow the NVR access to each of them. Click on Modify. You'll be asked to enter a password. Now this is asking for the master password that we set up for the NVR, not the camera. Believe me, I got confused too. Once you get past the dialog, we can click on Modify again. Now this time, it will ask you for the password for the PoE camera. And there we go. The camera is now fully accessible and recording to the NVR. Now we can follow the same process for the other PoE camera. We can now click into any of our cameras to view playback and control the device through this live interface. This is really cool. Of course, with the 36-channel Reolink NVR, we can easily look back to all our recorded video. Everything is time-stamped and organized. It's very well done. Now, I really like Reolink's new interface on this NVR. It's very easy on the eyes to navigate. All the information it provides is pretty astounding and probably overwhelming for the average user. Yet everything seems to be very intuitive to use, especially when you just have the mouse to control it with. For professionals, I'm sure they are in absolute bliss having all these menus and settings available to them. It's important to check for any firmware updates for the NVR, as they do constantly make changes to introduce new features and fixes. Well, here's our UID and QR code again for this NVR. In order to view playback on all our cameras remotely on our Reolink app, we'll need to add the Reolink NVR itself this time. It's exactly the same process as adding another camera like before. Super easy. Now, going back to our Reolink Wi-Fi Video Doorbell, like I mentioned, when I have time to drill and run Ethernet cable to the door frame, we can connect this cable directly into the Ethernet port on the back of the doorbell, then to the back of the NVR. This will essentially transfer our doorbell video stream directly to our NVR without microsd card limitations and Wi-Fi signal issues. This is a phenomenal feature that Reolink provides, allowing more flexibility in our ecosystem. This solves a lot of issues we've all had with disappearing video, where footage is either cut short or starts too late. All the footage here is captured in full quality, running 24/7, so we can play back at any timestamp we want. As you can see, automatically our video doorbell shows up on the Reolink app, with all the bells and whistles. Very nice. So guys, I hope this entire video demonstrates how surprisingly easy the Reolink security system is to set up, just like a true pro. Again, I bought everything here with my own money, but as you already know, I'll always give you my honest opinions. The Reolink Video Doorbell, the 16 megapixel Duo V3, and the 4K Trackmix were all super simple to set up. The Reolink community is great, especially on Reddit, where you can ask for any advice. That's where I gathered most of my research as well. Remember, absolutely no subscriptions are required, which is great, unlike other surveillance systems. The Reolink app and the 36-channel NVR all work harmoniously together. It's such a pleasant experience. Now, there aren't many cons I can mention so far without going into each individual device. In general, you might need to be a bit handy to mount these cameras outside your home. Also, running Ethernet cables to each individual camera outside can be a real pain. A real specific con I think Reolink needs to address is their fulfillment process, as I found their quality of shipment lacking in that department. The To logo issue, I hope, is a temporary transition, as it confuses the heck out of me. Overall, I'm super happy to replace my current setup with Reolink from now on, and look forward to install more PoE cameras around the house. If you like this video, hit that like button, comment below, I'd love to hear from you, and if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing to this humble YouTube channel, as it helps me create more content like this for you guys. Alright, cheers.